Hello everyone, Rare Model Reviews here, and we have it. We have the behemoth, we have the legend, the high-grade Psycho Gundam. Now, this thing, I actually had my collection for a pretty long time. I'm actually very disappointed in myself. I'm only just now building it, but once I got that Dendrobium, it put me in a real mobile armor mode. So I built just about every mobile armor I have in my collection as of now. I can confirm I have at least one more coming in soon. So I probably unfortunately won't get that time to review it for this month, but I still do have a couple of other kits that technically mobile armors that I plan on reviewing. One I might push back just because that one's a bit of a pain, and I might want to try to transform it a bit more in the background before I'm ready to take it on camera, because the transformation I think is a pain. I've done it twice and it was not a fun either time. But as you can see here, we're going to start this thing off in mobile armor form. Not because I'm lazy or anything. That's totally not why I have yet to have transformed this thing back to Gundam form since I showed it off at the end of my last review. But anywho, moving on along here. So going into colors here, the barrels here in the chest, I colored those all in black. It normally just comes all in red, so I want to detail this thing a teensy bit. There are actually quite a few stickers around this thing. The yellow right here on the, I guess you call those the ankles or caps. These are stickers. Same for the shoulders here. Those are stickers. The yellow here on top of the chest, stickers. Same for the ones on the sides here, stickers. Obviously that one too. And oh, can't really make it out too good, but let's back up a little bit. Yeah, these here on top, both sides are stickers. So overall, this thing is a big step up from the Dendrobium. This kit coming out in 2004, the Dendrobium 2002. The technology has improved vastly just in that 2-year difference. And it just shows this thing was a lot more of a pleasure to build than the Dendrobium was. I can confirm I got this thing knocked out in no time, just because unlike with the Dendrobium, I didn't really get stuck on any steps at all. I can say that the chest here, which use screws, there's a few screws on this thing, mostly for the body to keep things stable and all that, which is understandable. As at the time, of course, you know, this is what we're working with. But I'm confident with the Psycho Gundam Mark II that's coming out, and it really benefits from them taking their time to do it. It's probably not going to use any screws at all. It's going to be much more stable. Honestly, it probably will even transform a little better than this one. But I feel like we've kind of lollygagged enough, so we're going to go ahead and get into the transformation here. So this thing has a bunch of various locking mechanisms and what have you on this thing that transforms it. And I can confirm this thing completely transforms without any sort of part swapping too, which I think is just incredible. I mean, there technically are a few parts you have to take on and off with this thing, but we'll get onto those a little later. So that is one leg down. Now for the other. There we go. So there are some mechanisms and pieces on this thing that you have to kind of snap down, as you see there. That gets the legs much more stable. Piece of the back, you kind of gotta line up there, as you can see. I'm actually gonna pull this camera back a little bit. There's pieces in the arm that connect the shield. You gotta kind of detach, and then they're held into the legs. So we're gonna have to actually take these shields out from the legs and make sure it's not attached to the arm still. We'll throw those onto the side for now. And then kind of move the arms out, slide them back down in like so. And I just love, number one, how accurately this thing transforms from the show, but also just the fact that, again, this thing has like almost no parts forming with it, as you can see here. Everything you do just by transforming this thing naturally. And overall, so this thing is one of the most hassle-free transformations I've had from a lot of the kits I have in my collection here. Now, it does have a little weird thing it does with the side armor, where it's like, they're kind of like two halves that you have to like kind of push together and get them flush. You can see like, so I'm gonna kind of compare it. So when you do have them combined, as you can see here, they do move slightly, but then you can see on the other side here, like they're separate right now, but then once you push them together, they're whole again. So that is it for the Psycho Gundam. I'm actually gonna pause here. I thought I'd be able to do this in one continuous take, but I kind of underestimate how big this thing gets, and yeah, I'm not gonna be able to review this thing in this awkward fashion. So 1 second. All right. So now that we have that all sorted out for for the final step here, we just have to bring all this stuff down here like so, and then that way we could combine them. And there we go, create the shield. So as you see, nice solid snap. Okay, I said as this thing immediately unsnapped, so I try to demonstrate how together it is, but again, pretty solid overall. Now, this thing technically doesn't have any accessories. I mean, I guess you could kind of say the shield here, but this thing is such an integral part of the Psycho here, I wouldn't count that as an accessory. So you would, of course, go ahead and plug that into the arm. There's a hole in both arms, so you'll be able to plug either one in there, but I, of course, prefer the left arm, as that's where it's supposed to go. And then there's 2 pieces you'll be able to put in either arm. You only really need one because, again, ideally, you'll always have a shield in one of the arms there. So just go ahead and plug that on in there. And then there are 2 little pieces here that you use to plug in the holes that the shields would have went in for the transformation there. Making sure you guys can see what I was talking about there. Now, one thing to note is this thing is actually pretty stable, despite how big it is. If you ever have any issues with this thing standing up at all, it's most likely because you didn't quite lock all the mechanisms for the transformation in properly. But as you guys could probably expect, well, I guess I should probably go into articulation before I speak further, but of course, with this thing being a transformer here, a lot of stuff moves, not necessarily for articulation, but hey, it does help with articulation, as because this shoulder here can move up and clear out the way there. It does help with the articulation a bit there. This, of course, actually is articulation. It's not related to transformation. So this thing can move at several points here. Pretty basic bend out of the arm there, but for how big this thing is not bad. This thing also has what I classify as master grade hands here. I'm not even sure if I call these 2.0. I guess it's more like 3.0s because they move at the knuckle here. I'm not sure if you guys can make that out. So you can do a lot with this thing. You can go ahead and have the Psycho Gundam, you know, giving a rock on sign there. Or I guess I have to do it. You can have it do something a little less PG there. But again, this thing has this very great hands here. You could probably even go crazy and line these things up. I was going to, but I was building this thing all night, so it took me a little longer to actually finish this thing up than I planned, so I didn't line too much. I can say that another sticker I missed out on was for the eyes there. The eyes are a sticker. However, the camera on top, surprisingly, was not a sticker, so I had to color that in. Same for the one on the back there. So, of course, me coloring over black, it didn't quite end as well as I thought it would, but I managed to pull something off. Now, the shield, I guess I have to go with a separate articulation on that. I don't know how I'm going to do this thing, but It, of course, could spin all around the arm here. You can spin that little cranking mechanism there. You could, of course, put on the other end, and that'll do some other things with the articulation. Now, I always thought the fact that this thing even had a shield was just funny because I don't know what it is. It seems to especially be with like the Earth forces, not just the Federation, but just any organization that's based on the Earth. They always have these redundancies with their mobile suits, such as the Psycho Gundam having an eye field and a shield. Like, when is that eye field ever realistically going to go down that you even need the shield? The shield is basically here for show at this point. At least if it had sharper angles, you could say it's like a melee weapon, but it really isn't. But moving on here, the front armor, both individual can move up like so. So you can get a decent little kick out of this thing. The rear armor is flush and does not move. What the heck just fell off? Oh, so the little piece on the side here, this one does not stay on at all. I don't know if I did something wrong. It's like always this one right here that doesn't want to stay on, so that might fall off again. But yeah, the rear armor is flush. It does not move, unfortunately. We already showed off the side armor, but I'm going to show it again there. This thing doesn't really move much to the sides at all, so I wouldn't say the side armor is block anything. If you actually can make it out there, you can see that it doesn't touch. So this thing, again, isn't much of a poster, as you expect with how huge this thing is. It does have some decent ankle movement, though. I'm a little afraid to move this thing too much, but I'd say it moves about side to side, and then the ankle guard can move a little bit as well. This thing is flat-footed, of course, but overall, with just how big and lumbering this thing is, I mean, it does its job of just being big and menacing very well, in my opinion. I unfortunately do not have a high-grade Gundam Mark II to pulse off with this thing. However, I do have a Gundam Mark II to pulse off with this thing, so I guess I'm going to go ahead and do some quick size comparisons with this thing and end it here. So this is actually not a high-grade Rick Diaz I have here. This is from another line of, I believe it's called a fixed figure ration line or something like that. But this thing is around 144 scale. I'm not putting that back on. So this thing gives you a bit more of an accurate height of what the Psycho Gundam actually would be. This line of kits, it's around 144 scale. So this is about how big a high grade actually would look next to. I decided to bring this thing out because I haven't brought it out in a while. One and two, I like to kind of keep my kits and canon with each other. So obviously, the Rick Diaz did play a part in the battle against the Psycho Gundam. So as you can see here, he is big enough to kind of manhandle the Rick Diaz here. So I love that. Unfortunately, the Gundam Mark II I have is a master grade, so this does kill two birds with one stone of you being able to see how this thing scales with a master grade. However, the Mark II will be around the same size as the Rick Diaz here, so it's a little bigger than it should be, but at least even a high grade scale here, the Psycho Gundam still towers over the Mark II, so it, for the most part, still looks like a mole armor, even though in 144 scale here, this thing probably will be only a little bit taller than, let's say, the Penelope and the Z Gundam, or even the Yakidoga. So those things are huge. Same for the Suzabi. Those are all bigger suits. As for some reason, that was part of UCE timeline where suits just got enormous for no reason. But I feel like I've kind of gone on a tangent here long enough. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my verdict. So I'm definitely going to recommend the Psycho Gundam here. Like I said before, it is a bit of an older kit. It came out literally 20 years ago, but this thing definitely holds together very well. Again, it had a fun build. I very much enjoyed building this thing. It was definitely a breath of fresh air after how frustrating the Dendrobium started to get when I was building that thing. And it just looks great. It's just always cool to have something like this in your collection, a mobile armor at that, because these are very rare. There's less than a dozen of these things they have out. And again, I just really need something to hype me up for when I build, well, when I eventually get and build Mark II here. Oh, that thing I forgot, it's actually colored in the little forehead cameras there too, but forehead cannons, I'm sorry. But again, if you find this thing, because I'm not sure if they still have this thing in production or not. I got this thing when they got a reprint of it, but I definitely recommend picking this thing up, whether you're a fan of Zeta Gundam, the Psycho Gundam itself, or what. This is just something that just will really stand out in your collection. One, it's got this black and gray color scheme here. It's big, it could transform. And again, I'm just too happy to have this thing in my collection. I wanted this thing in my collection for a very long time. I'm glad I finally got it. Again, I don't know why it took me so long to build it. I guess it just got so many P-Bandai stuff and I'm kind of pushing those up the ranks there. But hey, better late than never, right? So I think that's about it. I can't think of anything else I could possibly say to extend this thing on longer than it needs to. So if you have any comments for me or anything I left out on that you were curious about or what have you, please let me know down below in the comments. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it and consider subscribing to me. It doesn't really do much but keep you up to date with my channel, my videos. It's free of charge, most importantly. I'm not sure if anyone realizes that because, you know, typically when you hear subscription, you think of paid subscription, but no, subscribing is free. There's memberships and stuff that are paid, but I don't even have anything like that set up for my channel as of now. So again, thank you guys so much for watching this video and stay tuned for the next one.